Lend me your ears.
This nation will rise up.
This is the Awesome Health Podcast.
Can you just talk into the mic, Alex? Make sure I can hear you.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
Sound check.
Guys, welcome to episode 2 of the Awesome Health Podcast. My name's Nick Quinton, I'm your host, and today I am so excited to bring you the legend that is Alex Nino. If you are living under a shell somewhere in the UK or you're not from the UK, you may not have heard of Alex, but he's an awesome bloke, and his approach to life, movement, health is just incredible, and he's got so much passion just flowing out of him, and part of that's his Latin upbringing and his Latin spirit that he brings into his movement practices and his general approach to life, and this episode is just full of how much passion Alex has got, and you can just see it flowing out of him into your ears, and yeah, we dive into all sorts of different aspects, and for sure we really break down how he approaches all the different skill sets that he's mastered over time, which are phenomenal. Everything from powerlifting, bodybuilding, to movement, and he's a phenomenal handstand master, and what he's moving into now in the new space, and how he deconstructs the challenge, and how he really dives in, leaves the ego at the door, and masters things really, really quickly, and just becomes an incredible practitioner very quickly. And we also look at how he builds consistency into his routines as well, which is something I always struggle with, and yeah, we get lots of chat from Alex. He's a great guy, and you can really hear that coming through in the interview, how much he enjoys what he does, and his approach to life in general is pretty special. So let's jump in and listen to the legend that is Alex Nino. Alex Nino, amazing to have you here. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much for having me, actually. I'm great, after a really early morning, and the gym has been very good, 5 sessions done. Now I'm ready to see what we can do today.
Excellent. So guys, you've heard about Alex and the amazing things that he's been up to, and we're now going to pin him down and try and get him to deliver some bits and pieces, some nuggets of value, and really sort of uncover his ethos and his approach and his kind of way of doing things and his uniqueness, because I met Alex a few years ago, and I was just amazed by how unique his approach was, and how his content, you're not afraid to sort of put your voice out there and be heard, and also do things slightly differently, and also you've got an amazing approach to consistency that we want to get into the grounds of. But before we do that, I just want to hear a little bit about your story. So you're not from the UK.
No,
I don't think people will be surprised to see that. And how you ended up in London, and specifically how you ended up in fitness, and your kind of evolution through health and fitness.
Okay. Let's see how we start. First of all, I come from Colombia. I came to London in 2000 actually. I came here to study, so I wanted to stay here for 9 months. I came to study English. I didn't learn any English at all the first 9 months because I was living with Colombians and with Spanish people, so so I decided to stay a bit longer. So I stayed for another 10 months, so it's about nearly 2 years, and I went back home, and 2 months later I decided, no, I can't be in this village anymore, because I come from a small village. So it was very difficult to sort of get back to normal life in that village after having lived in London for 2 years. You meet different people, you travel a little bit, different cultures, people are very open-minded. It's a big thing. So I decided to come back. Gym goer, the weather was big influential of me going to the gym, because I used to be an outdoor person. Growing up back home is you just run, you swim, you cycle, you play football. Everything is outdoor. It's sunny. You don't need to go to. There are no gyms. Well, now there are a couple of gyms, very small, but at that time there was. You don't know what a gym is.
Yeah.
In a small village. So when I came to London, the weather made me go to the gym and be active, because the winter was a killer for me. Cold water and the raining and the grey days was quite tough. So I decided to join the gym and start doing some sort of bodybuilding stuff, bicep, chest, the conventional stuff that people do in the gym, which was great because I was very skinny. So I wanted to put some weight on. I got about 10 kilograms in a few years, 6 years, I would say. I used to take supplements, proteins, creatine, BCAA, pre-workout, post-workout. So I used to spend a fortune on supplements and obsessed with food. You need to eat 6 times a day, protein, carbohydrates, and fat, and do measurements and all this sort of, I would say, wasting time. Well, I would not say wasted time, because it depends on what your goals are. If you want to become a professional bodybuilder, then you need to be very strict to what you do and how you do things.
Yeah.
But I wasn't planning to become one, but I was sort of living the life like if I was one, which was not very healthy. And then from there I did some, powerlifting. I ended up doing some weightlifting and sort of lifting heavy, trying to get big, trying to get strong. So it was a combination of a few things. Until, and I had many injuries. Shoulders, back, knees, ankles, you name it. And there was one day that I saw someone doing handstands in a studio where I used to work before. So I looked through the window and I just saw legs kicking up and down. I was thinking, that was very cool. And I decided to talk to the guy and see if he could teach me how to do handstands. I was a yoga teacher. And at that time, my daughter got space in the circus school in Old Street. And then when she came home that weekend, she said, "Oh, Daddy, I saw some people doing handstand. It looks so cool." So I decided, you know what? Actually, doing handstand would be a nice thing to do to show off my daughter, So it was about 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
So I contacted the yoga guy. We did some yoga practice, some breathing, back bends, hip openers, and I was thinking, well, I wanted to learn handstands. There was no handstand for the first 45 minutes. But that was actually a really good thing, because then my body started to open up and then loosen up and breathing, and it felt really good after this. Even though we did only maybe 5 minutes of handstands in the class, my body felt really good after. So I carry on. So I started to learn more about the yoga, the breathing, the heart openers, back bending, shoulders opening, hips opening. And every time I finished the session, it was a good feeling. It was a very good feeling. So I decided to do more of that and less of the pumping and the lifting heavy. So I started shifting into yoga. And then from there, I started discovering other people like Ido Portal, another guy called Miguel Santana, who is a professional handstand balancer, and Ido Portal, who does a bit of everything, like a movement stuff.
Yeah, he's a real guru. He's a real deal.
And then I found about this guy called Coach Sama, who does gymnastics training. And then my mind started to sort of wonder, why, what about this, what about that, and the yoga. And then I mixed so many things that I was doing quite a lot of things. So it was hard to see progress on one thing. But in 6 months, in a year, you see quite a bit of a progress of everything, which I think is amazing. And I went to a workshop with Ido Portal, and then I did some private sessions with a yoga teacher, private session with Miguel, the hand balancer guy. I did some online training with gymnastic bodies, summer coach, and then he came to London. I did a 2 days seminar with him, and then I started just sort of learning from those guys in person, because for me it's very important.
Okay, incredible. So you were working as a PT, you're working in the fitness industry, but in much more conventional
discipline, what everyone would consider doing normal stuff when they employed a PT. They're taken through some circuits, some lifts, different sessions, supersets, all that stuff that guys are doing in the mainstream. And then you made this shift to much more movement-based ethos, and you started following guys like Ido Portal that have got their 100% of their mind in just natural movement and disciplines that people might not consider conventional. So, in my mind, that's quite a big shift. What were there any triggers? What sort of led you to make that shift across to a much more movement-based way of training and exercising and moving and generally? Was it, because for me, the way you tell it is quite a natural flow to it, but it's a big shift.
It's massive.
Yeah, massive shift. A different way to think, different way to move, different way to approach fitness and health at all. Were there any, like at that time, do you remember any sort of triggers or curiosity in your mind? What were the big things that thought, you know what, I need to stop doing what I'm doing here and start doing this?
There were many reasons, I will say. The first one is I was very focused into the aesthetics. People come to me, and it was me. I just want to have a bigger chest, bigger arms, lift heavier, be bigger, blah, 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 blah. That was my reason for what I was doing. And then when I started shifting into the other stuff, then it was more about a feeling. Mm-hmm. It was being stronger, but at the same time being softer and being looser and not having pain in your back, not having pain in your shoulders. So these things starts to make me wonder, okay, what is really what I want? Do I want to keep lifting very heavy weights and having pain in my body, or shall I just forget about that, think about more how my body moves and how my body feels, regardless of how it looks, because looks should be a back part of how you live life. If you move a lot, if you move well, if you eat good food, then you will look good. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Unless you have a problem from your, some of the external problems that we don't need to talk about that. And then that was the shifting point. I was feeling better. I was, sleeping better. My mood changed. I didn't have to be stressed about eating every 2 hours, because if not, you lose muscle mass and all this stuff that for me is just not healthy.
Yeah.
And that was the shifting point. It's just the feeling, and it's just very cool to do stuff with your body weight.
I think. I couldn't agree more. I think it's so important, and it's so important to emphasize that point there. So you felt that even though you were doing, you were working as a fitness professional and you were getting sort of aesthetic gains and aesthetic goals were being achieved, you weren't satisfying a kind of deeper hunger to be healthy and to be happier. That's kind of what I'm hearing. And also, on top of that, the pain, your training in some ways was causing you pain and niggles and problems through the sort of compound movements and some of the higher impact stuff. And that, I just think that you can't emphasize that point enough, really. And that's exactly how I feel about health and fitness is, my background is running around with big weights on my back in the army and screwing my knees and my ankles and doing crazy stuff. And I think it's nice, I think, as a younger man, you kind of like, you want to look a certain way, you want to feel a certain way, but
this is called ego. We just want to look big and be strong, which is normal,
Yeah.
But as we get older, we understand that is not really that. It's not really that important. What is important is how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically, not just the physical part about being strong and being big. Is, of course, is a nice thing to have, but it's how we feel. It's how we are. How happy are we inside?
Yeah.
Are we doing this just because we need to show people how we look?
Yeah.
Or are we doing this because it makes me feel amazing?
Yeah.
And I think that will be the most important thing. Is how do you feel? Do you feel shit? Why do you do that then? You know?
And I think
it's like you drink a lot of alcohol and the next day you're going to feel really bad with a bad hangover. Then in the first place, don't do it. Or don't do it too much. Do it just a little bit so you don't feel that bad, Because I will say everything is okay as long as you do it in moderation. But when you get obsessed with one thing, that is wrong for me.
Yeah.
And
that's, and I think Exactly. You put you want to look a certain way because that will make you feel a certain way, but actually the other way around makes more sense. Start with how you want to feel and how happy you want to be, and where your center is, and then everything else will fall into place. Don't prioritize the ego. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
But it's normal. We young, we want to do those things in life, but it's only as we get older we realize I don't think you can realize that without going through that. Yeah. You have to go through that in order to realize, actually, you know what, this is not really what I want.
Yeah.
Because it has happened to millions of people. You have to go through it in order to realize that that's actually not that important.
Yeah.
But until you do it, it's difficult to know.
Yeah.
So it's like a learning process. We have to go through it, make mistakes, do this, do that, and then we start realizing, okay, this is not really what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then you start shifting.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's an evolution.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think.
And you need to be really open-minded as well.
Yeah.
Because if you are a bodybuilder, going to a yoga class where you can't even touch your toes, it's quite embarrassing because everyone else, and you see other people who might not look as good as you, but they do some amazing things. Mm-hmm. And then you feel embarrassed, Mm. So having an open mind to be able to go and try something different is also super important.
Yeah.
And I was open-minded, and I'm open-minded. I can't go and try anything. I don't really care what the other person is doing, or how he does it, or if she or he is better or worse. It makes no difference to me.
Yeah.
I go to try something because I want to try, because I want to learn something, regardless of my external surrounding. It makes no difference to me.
Yeah.
I just want to go and learn, become better. So if I do that, then it means that I can share it with some other people. If it makes me feel better, and if I think it's beneficial to myself, I do believe that it will probably help someone else.
Yeah.
But until I do it, learn, practice it, then I cannot share it because then I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't need to become a professional of anything either. I just need to understand, learn, teach, practice, and then I can share.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think people chase certificates and I've done it. Chase a qualification, and actually, it's not helpful. It's not helpful, and it impedes your vision because, like you say, you need to be open-minded. And by definition, if you're following a strict certification process, you're not open to all sorts of influences and different ways of learning and teaching. I think, and the open-mindedness is absolutely key, and I think that's the challenge people face. And I think that's what's awesome about you is you just don't give a shit.
I don't care. No, I don't.
What people think. You're out there, you're doing it, and you're willing to get uncomfortable.
But that's when you learn. When you're very comfortable. When there is a little bit of a stress that you need to change. You need to to do something about. But if you keep doing the same thing all the time, mm-hmm. I find it boring anyway. It's just I don't know. There is no adrenaline, there is no action, it's just the same thing over and over and over. It's boring for me. I need to have something different all the time. I need to be active, I need to be thinking what kind of need to challenge myself.
Yes, and that links into taking the hard choice, right? Because if you're I think the challenge people have is they find it too hard to get outside their comfort zone, and it's too closely linked to their identity, so they can't make the change, and they don't want to be. It's just too uncomfortable, so they choose the easy path, which means they're not growing and they're not learning and they're not growing, which effectively means you're dying. Because we're aging naturally anyway. Do you know what I mean? We've got to work more. We've got to work different ways. And we've got to get smarter as we get older. And I think that's the challenge people face is they'll kind of do what they've always done, but actually that's a downward slope.
Yes.
It's not a plateau, and it's certainly not an upward slope. That's a downward slope. If you're doing the same again and again and again, you're slowly tapering downwards. And I think it's an important distinction to make.
And another thing is that we should be challenged not only physically but also mentally. We should do something with our mind, like some rhythm, some coordination, something that it doesn't matter how fit you are physically,
Yeah.
but how do you use your brain? Your brain needs to be, I like doing number, the Sudoku.
Yeah.
I love doing that one. You sit down and, because I know that even though I'm sitting down, I'm thinking, my brain is working. I like doing I started doing some juggling.
Yeah.
Started with one ball on my left hand side. I couldn't even do one throw and catch it again. It was amazing. It was chaos. But I started doing it because, you start concentrated,
Yeah.
Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
You don't need to be fit. You can even sit down in a wheelchair and juggle. It's possible.
Yeah.
So it's more about brain.
Coordination,
Another thing I started doing is going into the cold water.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. We'll get onto that. Cool. Yeah, no,
So
I
the
agree.
challenges.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think you're absolutely right. And if you can couple the physical movement aspect with the learning,
Yes.
then you've got a really strong combination. I've just started jiu-jitsu, and I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I haven't got a clue.
Which is good.
Yeah, and I'm completely outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And
The best period, the best stage of something is when you're learning.
Yeah.
The beginner stage is the best one.
Yeah.
Because then you become an intermediate and your level is already very good. But when you become advanced, then you're stuck because I don't know, being advanced to something I don't think is good. I'd rather be an intermediate level of many things because I can't just go and pick anything of those and do it. I don't have to be a professional because I am not interested in being a professional on anything. I just want to be able to learn many things that I can share.
Yeah.
So being a beginner is so good, and being an intermediate level is where we should aim to be.
Yeah.
Intermediate. Advanced, I don't see the point of being advanced or something. Yes, it might look good and you might show off and it will look amazing, but being advanced in something, I'm not interested in being advanced. I'm interested in going to the intermediate level and really grasp what I'm doing, understand doing it, and then move to something else and maintain the other one.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I like it.
Yeah.
So constantly learning something new.
I don't want to spend too much time on one thing,
Yeah.
because there are millions of things to do. So why do I want to focus only on one thing? I'd rather spend my time focusing on many bits and pieces, which I think is more interesting and is less boring. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Cool.
But again, everyone has a different personality.
Yeah, of course.
Some people want to be just amazing at one thing and they just spend all their life doing one thing, which is fine,
Yeah, I think I was going to shift gears to talk about some of the struggles and some of your passions, but I just want to stay on that note, what you just said there, because I don't want people to think that you're trying lots of different things, because you are mastering what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? So you have a high level of consistency compared to, I think, what the general people are doing. Do you know what I mean? And when you talk about handstands, you've mastered not only doing those movement patterns, but also teaching them as well, and that's a fantastic way to learn for sure. But you've built a huge amount of consistency and showing up day in day out to develop these skills over a relatively short space of time. What's been the key to that, or what's the secret sauce? What are you doing differently? Because I think consistency, I've struggled with it a lot. And wanting to do lots of different things, my mind's always going, blah, blah, blah. So, but then how do you turn up every day and do the work to achieve the level that you need to get to? Do you know what I mean? And we're talking to Alex Nino, you've got a huge social media following, you're a master of the handstand and all the stuff that you've been doing.
Well, that's a really good question. Okay, this is how I approach my training or my practice. Let's put it, some people call practice, some people call it training, practice, training, whatever. For every year, I have been focusing on maybe one or two elements of the practice. So let's say when I started doing this, the focus of those years were, let's go back to how long ago? Let's say 20 years ago. So when I started, my focus was on bodybuilding. So I was focusing on my food, my sessions, biceps, chest, blah, 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 blah. So I was the focus of something. So when I do something, I focus on it, and I try to experiment with many things. So I did German volume training, I did 5x5, I did 5x8 reps. So I was just trying many different things to see which one was the one that was the best for me, to help me achieving the goal I had at that time. Okay? And then I did the same with weightlifting. So I went to the school in Bethnal Green, where I was learning how to do weightlifting from a proper coach.
Yeah.
So I learned from him. He gave me all the tools to become better weightlifting. I had a coach for powerlifting, which is pretty much becoming very strong at bench press, squat, and deadlift. So he was telling me how he used to train his people and how they got the best results. So I learned from this guy and I practiced myself. So every time I want to learn something, I find someone who is very good at doing it, go and learn from that person, go and find someone else, and maybe 2 or 3 people who can give you a lot of information, and then you make up your mind how you do your program, because again, it doesn't work for everyone. Okay, and then that was 3 things. So that was the bodybuilding, the weightlifting, and the powerlifting. Mm-hmm. So that I spent doing that maybe 10 years, 12 years. Mm-hmm. So I learned quite a lot of stuff about that, and that was what I was doing at that time. Then when I started doing the yoga, so I focused on yoga. I used to go to classes, I used to go to workshops. I had 3 hours of private sessions a week. So I was consuming my yoga. I was learning about everything. Mm-hmm. Then it came handstand. And then I did handstand for about 2 years on my own. And the progress was really bad. I was just kicking against the wall, even though it took me 6 weeks to kick up against the wall. And then because what I was doing was wrong.
Yep.
There was no structure, there was no understanding. It was just like go and kick up against the wall and try to hold it.
Yeah.
That's why what I teach now is very different. And I will tell you how it works. So it was a handstand, and then I decided there was a year where I focused on hip opening. There was another year where I focused on back bending. So just spine work, back, bend, forwards, backward, flexion, extension, rotation, twisting, everything. And there was another year where I focused on strength training, which is like a gymnastic strength training. So straight arm, bent arm, push, pull. And then every year I just pick something and I really smash it, go really hard, try different ways of doing it, and learn. So I can apply to myself and to teach. And that's how I see things. Now how I do things in a different way. It doesn't matter whatever it is. This is how my approach is. I try to spend some time understanding the movement or the task, what I need to do. It's okay. Understanding, and then I need to find out what my weak links are in order to achieve that particular movement. Let's put a handstand. I need to do a handstand. I need to have a flexible and a strong waist. I need to have good shoulders flexibility, let's say 180 degrees of shoulder flexion. And I need to have a good understanding of my pelvis, anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Because when you do a linear movement, which is a handstand, there is a way of doing it where your body is going to be very efficient at doing it. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have the elements, let's talk about shoulder flexibility, understanding of your pelvis. If you go these things, then trying to do a handstand is going to be much easier. If I'm going to do a handstand and my shoulders are very tight and I have no understanding or no awareness of my pelvis, then that handstand is going to be very difficult to achieve. Because first of all, I don't have the foundation, and second, I don't have the understanding. So if you don't have those 2 things, then you are going to smash the wall and you're not going to get any results. You might be lucky one day catching one handstand, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you know what you're doing. So this is how I do things. First of all, spend some time of understanding what your goal is. Second, do some preparation. If you already understand the movement and if you know what your weakest links are, then you can prepare your program. You can say, okay, my shoulders are tight. What do you focus? Opening your shoulders. My hips, I don't understand how my hips work. Okay, how do they work? Do some reading, find someone who can teach you, go to a class, go to one-to-one, go to a workshop. There are so many resources you can use to help you, and that's pretty much it. Once you have those 2, and then just practice. Spend some time, pick 1 or 2 skills a year, and then really focus, spend 50, 60% or 70% of your practice on those skills, depending on how much time you have. If you have 1 hour a day, 5 times a week, it's going to be very difficult. 5 hours a week is tough. I used to spend 15, 20 hours a week training before.
Wow.
Before I had my kids.
Yeah.
So I made good progress. Now, my progress is not that great because I don't spend much time. My handstand practice is maybe 1 or 2 hours a week. My strength practice is maybe 2 hours a week. And I do a bit of mobility work, so that's another 2 hours. Let's say if I had 8 hours a week, I'm super happy for myself. So what can I do only these 8 hours? I need to cover so many things, so it's very difficult to make big improvements. But do I need to make big improvements? Not really. I feel very happy with my practice. I feel I'm mobile. I feel I'm strong. I feel I can do a lot of things that an average person wouldn't be able to do. I do understand the principle. I know how to keep progressing. But the problem is I don't have the time to do that. So if I can maintain what I have, I am a very happy man.
Yeah.
If I can make progress, I am a super happy man. But, now my situation changed.
Yeah, of course. That's awesome. Yeah. That's the amazing way to break it down. So the way you approach it, just to play it back to you, Alex, for the audience. So the way you approach it is you first you start off with understanding your goal.
Yes.
And getting clarity over that.
You need to absolutely know what you want.
I couldn't agree more. And that's when I coach guys, that's the first thing is clarity. That is the habit we need to get, is clarity over where we're going. And the true goal, not kind of, I want to lose 10 pounds. That's not really, it's an intangible. It's not a goal. Why? What does it mean to you? Do you know what I mean? So understand the goal, understand the principles of what you're trying to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then based on that, break it down into the composite movements, body parts, and understand where you might have your weaknesses and what you need to work on, and don't just focus on the single movement, but actually break it down into all the bits and pieces, so you can deconstruct it basically and build it up that way. Yeah.
Small pieces, very small pieces.
Yeah.
Make it as simple as possible. Very simple. One thing that I make, that I teach and I advise people is keep it as simple as possible, because then you can learn. If you start creating some complexity in your training, in your practice, and too much chaos, the gains are going to be very small. I am not saying that chaos is bad or complexity is bad. It's actually very good, because it will get you out of your comfort zone, and it will, make things up, and then you will have to struggle to learn, which is great. But everything has a dosage to get the most out of it. If you put too much chaos into your practice, then your practice is not going to make much progress. But you don't put any chaos into your practice, then you're going to be bored doing the same stuff over and over. So it's just small amounts of everything into your practice, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's difficult to know how much of each you need. So it's tricky. So I think it's very personal as well. Some people like chaos in their life.
Yeah.
Some people like structure. Some people don't want to think about, okay, I want to go to the gym and I want to do this, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Some people like to go to the gym and they say, okay, what shall I do today? Let's do this today, or let's do that. It's called a intuitive training. Yeah. So you go there, see what your body feels like, and you do it, which I think is great. I have done it many times. I go to the gym, or I'm here, and I feel, my back feels a bit stiff. It feels like I'm going to do some back or spine movement. And then my back starts feeling better, and it feels really good. Then I keep on doing it, and I can keep pushing it to see how flexible my back can get, or what can I do with my spine. Same with the strength. Sometimes you feel like, I feel like I want to do some pushing or pulling, then, So it's just so many different approaches. So I don't think there is the best one or the worst one. It's just how your body feels. Give your body what your body feels like.
Yeah. So simple. Turn up, do the practice, and enjoy the process of learning.
One more thing before you go on. A lot of people get too obsessed with time frames. Oh my God, how long does it take? How long is it going to take me? That really don't worry about how long it's going to take you. Just do your thing today. Do your best today. Do your tomorrow. Don't even worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
You only have today.
Yeah.
Do your best today. Forget about tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, then you worry about tomorrow, but tomorrow is not here yet, so why do you worry about tomorrow?
You mean it's going to take me longer than 3.5 minutes?
And then it's just, okay, and one thing as well, it's good to have the goals, but the goals is just like a guidance to where we are going to go, or where we're going. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to achieve them. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we are trying to become slightly better as we go, as we go. We get better, we get in 2 years, or in a year, or in 6 months. You know that if you have done your best every day, you're going to have a big progress from when you started. And that's what matters, how well you start doing your training. Is your training session okay, or really good, or shit? Then that's what makes it's gonna make the difference in 6 months or in a year.
Yeah.
And so just go with good state of mind. I'm gonna do my best today. That's it, no more.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what I'm always preaching as well. Is fall in love with the process and just enjoy the process of what you're doing at that moment in time. Don't forget. Try and forget about what you've set out to go for. The long-term goal. You need to be enjoying day to day, because
Absolutely.
we 80% we're 80% of our life we're spent in process. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of people that are kind of like they're fixated on one goal. It might not even be a true, tangible goal that we might consider,
Absolutely,
or
yeah.
make them happier in the long term. But they've got this fixation, and they're heading towards that, and they want it yesterday. And because of that, the process is so difficult for them, because they're not understanding the process, and they're not enjoying the process.
They're not living life. They're not living life at the moment, at the present.
In the moment.
No,
That's
that's the only thing we have.
Yeah.
We have this moment.
Yeah.
And this moment, we should be very aware of what's happening now.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I don't care tomorrow. I know that what I'm supposed to be doing tomorrow is on my diary, but I don't think too much about that. It's there. When tomorrow comes, I worry about tomorrow. Now I'm here talking to the microphone, talking to you, looking at the studio, looking at you, and that's what I'm focusing now. I don't really think about, I'm going to train after you, I'm going to do some stuff, but I don't need to think about that, because that time has not arrived yet. I'm just here in the moment. And I think it's something that people should focus on.
Powerful message. I think more people need to start thinking or do less thinking and start more living really in the moment. I couldn't agree more. So on your journey to where you are now, and obviously it's ever evolving, what struggles have you had? What have been your biggest struggles in terms of I don't know, maybe injuries, or you lacked consistency of commitment, or problems that you've had at all?
Oh, struggles. Good question. I have been struggling all my life, but one thing that I have is I'm a hard worker, and I don't give up at all. It doesn't matter how hard things are, I just keep on going. And I think because of that mentality, a struggle is not really a struggle. A struggle is some sort of, the struggle is the stress you need in order to grow and to keep on going. That's how I see it. So for me, I don't see anything as a struggle. I see everything as a okay, this is what I need in order for me to keep on going. I think it's more about the mentality that you have, the mindset you have to life, Because let's say an example, I'm going to go and train later, and let's say I'm walking down here, I'm walking around the corner, I'm going to put my shoes, and I fell, and I hurt my ankle, okay? And then I can look at it in two different ways. Oh shit, I hurt my ankle, I can't train him off, and then I start moaning and complaining about that. And I say, okay, my ankle is hurting, but you know what? I have the rest of my body, I have arms, I have back, that's still good, so I can do other things. So it's being able to adapt to the situation.
Yeah.
So some people might say, oh, I'm struggling because my ankle is hurting. I say, no, I'm not struggling. I'm fine. My arms are fine. My head is fine. I can do so many other things. So, yes, it could be a struggle, but it could be something that, listen, you cannot use your legs because your ankle is hurting, so you can use other things. So, and life is always full of obstacles or struggles, but I don't know. I don't call them struggles or obstacles. I call them the stress that we need in order to think out of the box.
Yeah.
So it's a funny one.
Well, that's great, but you've overcome lots and lots of struggles, really, because you came to England. You didn't speak much English.
Not at all.
How old were you?
I was 22.
22.
So I left my village.
Yeah.
10,000 people live in my village. I used to go to Bogota a few times. Bogota is a big city where you see a lot of buildings. So I used to go a few times there. I used to be in a small village, countryside, closed-minded, Catholic. You go to the church every Sunday, and then you do this and that this way. So coming from a small village to a London, man, that was a shock. Good. The weather was a shock.
Yeah.
So we could call these struggles: the language, the weather, the way they drive the cars here on the left hand side. So it was like, what happening here? It's just crazy. How people are open-minded. Some people wear different clothes. Some people have allergies to food. So many things. Some people have mental problems, and some people have depression, some people have. So when you meet those people, sometimes the energy they bring is not really that nice, so that could be a struggle. So anything could be a struggle, but anything could be an opportunity to learn.
Yeah, that's it.
And I don't see it as a struggle. I see an opportunity to learn and to make me better.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
Wow.
It's not really a struggle. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You can see it either as an opportunity, or you can see it as a bad thing, as a negative thing. Nothing is negative. Everything is positive, because I'm sure anything in life, you can bring something positive out of it. You will learn from anything in life.
Wow.
There's nothing bad about anything. It's just how things are.
Yeah.
You just try to make them better.
Yeah.
But you can also make them worse. So it's a tricky one,
Not for you.
Well,
no, man, you cracked it.
I came from a really poor family. We used to live in a little shed. We didn't have electricity, so we had candles. We had water, and the floor was earth, so there was no concrete, and the walls was wood, and that's sometimes there was food, sometimes there was no food on the table, but it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
It's the way it is. So I think it's because of how I lived my life before. Now I live in a paradise. It is paradise. I have education, I have health, I have shelter, there's security. We have absolutely everything. Honestly, England, London is a paradise. I don't understand why people complain.
Yeah.
And they moan, this is cold, this is hot, but the public transport is too busy. And it's just people moan about everything. They have no clue what it is to have a hard life.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why, because they haven't been there, they don't understand. Yeah. They don't know. But because I've been there, so for me this is
Wow.
Of course it can't get better, of course, but it's already amazing. This place is amazing.
And where would you say your sort of passion for life comes from? Your mum, your dad, culturally? Because energy just comes from you.
Family. I think my family is very important. Because of where I come from, my goal was to help my mom and my brother and my sister, I said when I was bullied at school because my mom didn't have enough money to buy me new trainers. So I used to go to the physical education club with broken trainers, and the kids used to take the piece out of me. Honestly. So I said to myself, one day I'm not going to be poor, and I'm going to be able to buy myself a pair of trainers, and I'm going to be able to give my mom a nice, decent house, and blah, 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 blah. And that was I think the passion come from there, from having nothing to be able to have something.
Yeah.
Always be honest, always being honest and hardworking.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the situation, you just work hard. You always want to be doing the best you can possibly can.
And now you're a father of two
daughters.
Two daughters.
Yeah, two daughters.
How do you contrast your upbringing to your daughter's upbringing? Do you ever think about the contrast between how you got brought up and how they got brought up, and what are the messages you try and pull through and push through into your children? I
take them back to Colombia. We've been just spent nearly a month in Colombia in December, so they know. I have explained everything to them, where I come from, where I used to live. I show them photos. This is where, and I have taken them to places where they can see it. They can see little houses where kids, no shoes, no clothes, because there's a lot of poverty in Colombia, so they see. And then I tell them, you see how lucky you are, how privileged you are to be able to have a decent house, have food on the table anytime you want to, be able to go to a very good school, have your mommy and your daddy all the time. You're very privileged, so they understand.
They do, yeah.
And I am not a person who believe in material things for my kids. If they want any luxury or anything that is not, they have to earn it. They have to work hard for it. How? In many ways. They have to do very good at the school, academically, but also they have to be kind to the friends. They have to be human. They have to be nice humans. In the house, they need to behave. They need to do some housework sometimes, even though mom doesn't let them do much. But yeah, they need to collaborate in the house. They need to do things for the house. They need to behave. They need to do those things. And if I see that they're doing a good job, then they can have something. Yeah. But it only depends on how they behave and how much work they put into the school homeworks.
Yeah.
And so far they haven't done anything bad. They're very good kids in the school. They bring good results. They are excellent. So they can be treated, but only because of what they do, not just because many kids think they have a right to have everything they want to.
Yeah.
And many parents do. And when they face real life, they go for a shock. Because when your parents overprotect you hit the real world, and you know what? Yeah. And this is the problem now with mental health, depression.
Yeah.
Kids are protected. And when they go and face the real life, they think they are poor, they think they're ugly, they think that no one wants them, they think that the whole world is against them. And what happened? If they are not strong enough, they're gonna go somewhere bad.
Yeah.
And it's very sad.
Yeah.
It's parents' problem. The parents spoil the kids.
And we see that tough. more and more. The numbers are unfortunately pretty shocking in that, certainly in the mental health space, and even the sort of weight gain, obesity, all that sort of stuff. The statistics are going against us, and there's so many people like us, like yourself, trying to do awesome work out there, but it's hard to chip away at the bigger picture. It really is. Cool. Okay, let's shift away from those topics, and I'll ask you something that I ask all my guests. So, what does health mean to you?
Whoa, that's a very good question. I would say health is a state of being free of illness and injuries. When I talk about illness, I'm talking about physical and mental. It's just such a big thing. We need to talk about nutrition. We need to think about your activities. We need to talk about family, work. So many things you can talk about when it comes to health, and the idea is to have a balance of all of them, which is really hard in this modern world. It's crazy, it's difficult. So you need to know yourself so well. You need to know who you are, you need to know what you want, and you need to know where you are going to. If you know those three things, I would probably say you can survive this the jungle, because it's tough.
Yeah.
There are a lot of bad people out there. Yeah. Media is really bad sometimes, and they try to make you believe things that are not real. Let's talk about Instagram. Instagram, sometimes, you got these influencers with millions of followers, and they advertise any shit in order to get money.
Yeah.
There are some people advertising these drinks that you take, and in 4 weeks you have a beach body. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? With all the power that you have, and you advertising those drinks to tell people that you can lose just body fat, or you get a beach body in 2 or 3 weeks. That's not really what you need to do.
Yeah.
You need to help people to have to create better habits, a more positive mind, a more active body, a healthier eating patterns.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. You cannot I just hate it, It's wrong.
Yeah. I agree. I think the quick fixes, and they're not addressing the root of the problem.
Yes.
So the root of the problem, like anything, is in the mind, right? And if you're not active, if you're not even got a healthy mind, a healthy body, and you're not having a healthy life, it doesn't matter. You could have surgery, you can take lots of drugs. We know that does not work. And that's what's led me on this journey to the Awesome Health podcast. Actually, is
working in pre-hospital care and turning up time and time again to guys and girls that have just got chronic problems that aren't going away. And what do we see? We see the National Health Service giving them more medication, giving them more drugs. Now, there's lots of issues that sort of spring up from that, but it's not conducive to health. What I consider health, what you consider health, and what you're talking about, it's just not the path. It's, they've fallen off the path, and we're facing a situation now where we've got a sick care system. We're keeping sick people alive. That's what we do. And that's, it's a crazy situation.
Yeah, I mean, health, to put in a very little word, I will say, health is creating some patterns of good habits. Now, we're talking about sleeping, working, eating, and exercising.
Yeah.
If you have a job where you're miserable, where you're under pressure all the time, where that job is creating a lot of tension in your body, you're going to bring that tension into your family. You're going to bring that tension everywhere. So it's very difficult. We all have to have a job in order to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But if that job is destroying your life, is making you miserable, why do you do it? I know we have to pay the bills, but keep on doing it, it's going to make things worse.
Yeah.
We have to make a decision. And sometimes it's very difficult, because if you have responsibilities, how can you just change your job and do something that makes you happy?
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is really tough, but ultimately, if you don't choose a different path, then you're going to blink and you're going to be 75 and have no quality of life, and the last 40, 50 years have going to missed you. Yes, responsibility is very important, but you also need to choose the path that you're on and make decisions that lead you to an existence that you actually get to the end of the road and you're proud of, and you can hold yourself up and say, yeah, okay. And I think people are just going through the motions, and like you said earlier, they're not living in the moment, they're not enjoying the moment, not enjoying the process of life. They're just focused on this far off something that's not very clear, and they don't really know why they want to get there even. And it's just, the expression I've heard before is they're just a wandering generality, and they don't really understand, and there's no momentum behind them, pushing them in a direction that will lead them to a path that bring them any sort of happiness, fulfillment, and that's a pretty sad situation. But I think there's lots of people in that boat. I really do.
Lack of, I think people don't know who they are. They don't understand what they want.
Yeah, I think.
And if you don't understand what you want, how are you going to get it? It's like when it comes to the practice. What do you want out of your practice? Oh, I don't know. Say, well,
yeah.
How can I help you if I don't know what you want?
Yeah.
If you don't know what you want,
yeah.
How will I know?
Yeah.
We need to know inside of ourselves who we are, where are we going, and what do we want from our life.
Yeah.
If you have those three answers clear, then you can create a plan for it. But if you don't know, it's impossible to plan anything. You need to know what you want.
Yeah.
How can you need to recognize that we all have problems. We all have weaknesses in our life. But if we can find out what they are and try to fix them, then we can keep moving forwards and improve and improve and improve and make our life better. But ego is very interesting here. Because we think, oh no, everything I do is perfect and everything I have is everything, But no, we all have things that we can get better.
Yeah, and I think, and absolutely, awareness. And ego is the antithesis to self-awareness. It doesn't allow you to see you for who you are. I don't want to get too highbrow level, but I think it's so important to just send that message that, it starts with awareness. It starts with understanding who you are, what you truly desire.
To recognize our wants and our needs. That is the thing.
Yeah. Cool. And are there anything in the current sort of, you mentioned Instagram, and you mentioned a few things. Is there anything else that you think that pops in your mind when
that pisses you off in the health space at the moment, the health and wellness space? Are there any sort of things that you think, this doesn't make sense to me?
As I said before, the quick fixes are like so bad. People just want to have a beach body in 4 weeks before summer, but you just don't do that. You just have a beach body for the rest of your life, you know?
Yeah.
And you create it by being active, by eating healthy, by exercising your brain, your mind, by socializing with your friends, with your family. And it's just I don't know. It's just they tend to just give you a quick fixes, and they want to try to fix a problem with medicines, and that's just, it's just wrong. It's just, and especially when you have people with so much power, and they selling this shit. You're like, oh man, why do you do that? It's just wrong.
Yeah.
They do it for money because a company will give them a lot of money, so they just get the money. So it's at the end of the day, it's all about money. I don't care about the money. I have been approached with some brands of clothing, some protein, some supplements, a lot of shit, and I said, listen, I can't do this one because this is not me. I tell you. The only thing is I will say to you is that, everyone can try to eat better, and anyone can try to move as much as they can. Try to have a good, healthy life by doing those things.
Yeah.
That will make a huge difference.
Cool.
It doesn't matter what you work, it doesn't matter if you take that supplement, it doesn't matter if you take this protein, or it doesn't matter if you take this and that and that. It makes no difference. It might make a difference, but you need to start making the difference by going to the root, to the basics. And the basics is try to eat as healthy as possible. And when it comes to healthy, we could talk about healthy food for hours. So that's another topic that, healthy, I would say, try to eat as many vegetables as you can. Eat some fruits. And for me, it's very important to eat protein. And I try to bring my protein from a very good source. So I try to go organic as I can, and try to go grass-fed meat. So I try my best. I know it's more expensive, but I try to get my food from a very, very good source. That is really important for me, and I spend most of my money on food because I try to get the best possible food. That is one thing I would say, healthy food. And I try to be active, go swimming, go a bit of running, go a bit of, cycling, a bit of pulling, a bit of pushing, a bit of juggling, a bit of handstands, a bit of yoga, and just try to be active. It doesn't matter what you do, just be active.
Yeah.
That is the principles. And the rest will be easier. It will just come by nature.
Yeah.
But if you don't fix those two things, there is nothing there.
Yeah, and it all starts with self-awareness. My final question, Alex, is going to be, what's the one message around health, fitness, well-being, wellness, life in general that you would pass down to your children? If it was just one message that you were going to give them?
I just be active.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with my little girls, they do so much. Sometimes I feel like I'm being a bit too pushy, or because my wife is the same. We just try to get them, They do swimming 3 times a week. They go to the gymnastics. They go to the circus school. One is playing instruments. The other one, and then it's just making sure that for them, as they grow, it's just what we do.
Yeah.
We go swimming twice a week. We go to the gymnastics once a week. We go to the circus school once a week. We go running or we go cycling once a week. It's normal.
Yeah.
It's like we brush our teeth before we go to bed. We go to the toilet. We have a shower. We eat. It's normal to be active.
Yeah.
So for them, it's not like a punishment. It's a way of life.
Yeah.
We eat healthy. Yes, we go out. We have an ice cream. We have a cake. We have McDonald's sometimes. It's fine because that's not what we do every day.
Yeah.
We do every now and then.
Yeah.
So it's actually good to do something naughty every now and then because then your body doesn't become this temple of cleanness. Sometimes you have to give your body a bit of poison to fight it, to wake,
Yeah.
So I do believe that, having bad food every now and then is good for you.
Yeah.
Because then your body knows what bad is. Because if you always clean, you become too delicate. You become too protective from, oh no, I don't touch this because it's dirty.
I think
that's not good either. So it's a balance.
I think, and you touched on another important point there that is kind of standards. You're raising the standards, or you're setting the standards for activity, daily life, nutrition,
So they embody that moving forward, and those are the lessons that they don't forget, and they move through their life with a healthy mindset because they've always had these standards of the level of activity, the level of nutrition. They've raised their standards. That's a fantastic message. Before we drop off, guys, Alex, just want to touch on what you're moving into now. So what's exciting you now? What's moving forward now? I know you've posted a couple of things on social media, and we touched on them. What's happening?
I'm breathing now. It's amazing. I'm reading a book called the
Oxygen Advantage.
Oxygen Advantage.
Yeah.
So interesting. Oh my God. This guy's saying that there is such a thing of overbreathing. I was thinking, like, how could you overbreathe? Like, so you consume more oxygen than what actually you need.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I never heard that before. So I'm starting. I'm very intrigued and really interested about this thing. So I have done some breathing already. I have gone I used to hate cold water and cold weather. Not hate, but dislike, because I come from a hot country. So for me, cold weather is like, cold shower was struggle 3 weeks ago. I'm dealing with it way better. I could probably say that I'm enjoying cold showers.
Okay.
And I've been to the pond a few times, and I'm diving into the pond now.
Yeah.
The first time I couldn't get my feet because they were like, freezing. I did it, but the struggle was real. So I'm working on breathing and the mindset. So I would say in 3.5 weeks, I have changed the mindset that I had towards cold water and cold weather. I'm happily go now to any pond of, I would say, 3-4 degrees water. I'll go in, no problem.
Yeah.
Because I see that as the stress, and as in life, the water is the stress, the water is cold. No one is going to change that. I am the only one who can change the how I see it. I can either say, that water is too cold, I hate it, I'm not going to go in, it's going to be freezing, my skin is going to burn, blah, 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 and more negative things. I can either say, the water is cold, but you know what, I'm strong and I can go in that water and I can handle it. That's the mindset you want to have. Now, you can change the mindset by breathing, spend some time of breathing in, breathing out, get in your mind that you can do it. Believe you can do it. There are some people spending 2 hours under the freezing cold water and the -7 degrees.
Yeah.
How could I not possibly go into that water that is only 5 degrees, 4 degrees? Why? Is that because they are bigger or fitter or stronger? No, it's because their mindset is different. And that is all about the mindset. It's all about how you see things. And that's so clear. In the last 3 weeks, the mindset I had towards that completely changed. And now I'm even thinking about going to the Arctic and going to make a hole into the ice legs and just dive into that water.
Yeah.
Because people do it.
Yeah.
They have the mindset to do it. I'm like, you know what? And this is what I'm doing now. So this year I'm thinking about, I'm doing it now. Research, read, try, practice, breathe. And there are so many ways of breathing I didn't even know, craziness. Amazing. There are I don't know how many ways, the yoga breathing, and I did a Wim Hof workshop last Saturday.
Wow.
And we're just breathing in through the nose, out through the belly breathing. We did it for half an hour, and the high we had was incredible. That was incredible.
Just from breathing.
Oh my God. Just from, I don't know if they put some drugs in the oxygen we were breathing or something, because we were really high.
No, that's just breathing.
Never been in that, never had that experience in my life. And I had been to many workshops, but this one, I have to say, if anyone can go to the Wim Hof experience, please go and do it, because it's absolutely amazing.
Big shout out to Wim.
Amazing. This guy, his passion for that was incredible.
Yeah.
He might be a bit nuts, but the passion for the breathing and what he's done to so many people is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
good work.
Amazing. He's one of this guy, and I would say Ido Portal, those two guys are amazing. What they are doing now for us is incredible.
Yeah, awesome.
Incredible.
Alex, I just want to recognize you, your awesome movement professional. The handstand workshops that I've been to and the work you're doing in the handstand space in London is phenomenal. And I know you've got an awesome following around that. And, you know, I'm hearing so much passion coming from you. I want to recognise that and you know, thank you for coming on and
thank you for having me, man.
Trying to have that passion come through the microphone to all the listeners. It's huge. It's so important. It's so important. And the message there at the end is so clear. There's no standing still. There's no plateau. There's what's next. What am I moving into? What can I learn about? How can I improve? What am I interested in? What's my next passion? Where am I going to move to? And what's going to make me be a more rounded human and an awesome human, which you are, man. Thank you very much, brother.
Before we finish, this is how I will advise someone. Learn something. Spend some time doing the research. Learn. Now practice a lot. Practice. Then you can share it. And then when you can share something, then that means that you're ready to go and learn something else. So learn, practice, share. And then you keep moving in that circle of 3 stops.
Yeah.
Learn, practice, share. Learn, and keep going. You will never stop. Your whole life will be doing this.
Yeah.
So you will only stop when you learn something, and then you learn only one thing and you keep doing that the same thing.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is fun, but some people do. It's fine. But that's what I will probably. That's how I try to live my life.
Yeah.
I learn something. I do it a lot. I do the research. I do the practice, the training. Then when I feel that I'm comfortable and I'm confident enough that I have learned a lot and I can sort of do it, then I will share it. Mm-hmm. And that's my next thing. I'm gonna do some research about it. Breathing, cold water, and then get somebody. Okay, guys, this is how we can do things.
Oh man, I could just keep talking to you and kind of infuse that passion for all day. Alex, what's coming up for you? What do you want to tell people about? How can they stay in touch with you? What's happening?
Oh, at the moment, so crazy busy with my classes. I do workshops. I did a lot of traveling last year. I have workshops in many countries, but it's very tiring. So I'm trying not to do much of this. I'm trying to do maybe I'm doing one teacher training in May, which already have 12 people. It's a 30 hours intensive where I will share some of the stuff that I do, and my friend he will share some of his stuff. So we provide 2 different perspectives of teachers. Mm-hmm. He's a young kid. He's been learning on his own. Mm-hmm. I'm 40. I've got more like 20,000 hours of experience of teaching. I have learned from some amazing people. So we together can give a lot of teachers to open the minds. To don't be the guy who teaches the same thing all the time. Open your mind, learn. Be in the comfort zone and be in a zone that is not very comfortable for you, where you're gonna grow not as a teacher but as a person.
Yeah.
So this is what we want to do, some teacher training now, get more people involved, provide, do some, a tutoring, mentoring, some people, So that's a big plan. And we're doing some retreats and some workshops. And at the moment, I'm in there, trying to find a space where I can have my own little academy that we can, mentor people, we can do our thing. Cool. So this is the goal. So let's see what happens. Yeah. I'm in the hunting. I have had already a few places, but it was very tricky to change the use and the council and this, and it was just complicated, which I don't understand, because what we want to do is good. We're not gonna open a pub where we're gonna sell alcohol and drugs and cigarettes for people to destroy their life. We're gonna open a space where people are gonna come and are gonna feel better. But this is how life is, We just have to.
And where can they find you on Instagram, the internet?
Alex Nino. Yeah, Alex Nino. On
Instagram's the best place for you?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I've tried not to, there is Twitter, there is Facebook, there is this, that I just can't be bothered. I just Instagram one thing. Every day information there. I have a website and my wife did it for me last year. So anything they want to know is on the website. So
get on Instagram, connect to you on Instagram, and send you a message if they want to do some coaching.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the moment, I'm not really taking any more one-to-one, because I have already a waiting list of people who want to come and do so. I cannot really take, but they can join the classes. I do workshops every now and then, and then they can join us in the retreats.
Absolutely, yeah. So keep an eye out, and just a shout out. We're recording today at Mindset Gym in London, just near Waterloo, isn't it? So yeah. Apologies if the sound quality is not great, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Alex, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome, great. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
So there you have it. Pretty cool dude. If you'll agree with me, what a guy. What an awesome outlook on life in general, as well as those movement, health principles, and the strategies that he's constructed for himself. And an incredible story coming from such a small village in Colombia, moving to the bright-eyed streets of London without speaking any English at all. And I mean, where do you start? He certainly makes me feel like I need to be doing a lot more in the world and going out into the world and sort of putting my mark on the world and living a much more fearless life. I'm impressed, and I certainly hope you are. Guys, I am really looking forward to your feedback on this episode. He's a dude. I'm sure we've learned a lot from that conversation, and yeah, please feed that back into me. If you enjoyed this episode, I know you would have done, please share it on social media, subscribe to the podcast. It's really important. If you can leave us a review on iTunes, that would be fantastic. But more importantly, tell a friend about it. Actually verbally tell a friend about it. Share it with them. Hopefully it can add some value to their life as well. Thank you very much. Namaste.